Hi there and welcome to this channel again. It's been a while since we've posted a video, so I thought it was time to give you a little update. First, we had moved all our courses to a new platform, which is called Brave Art Academy, and we are very happy with it. Each class has an own classroom, so all students can communicate, give feedback, post the results. So it's a wonderful thing, and we already had added a new course, and in this video I will tell you also a little bit about the next course that is coming up. Another thing that we've done, last year we bought our RV, a classic Heimer van, and we had a trip for 3 months, and it was a great thing to do. And in this trip I created this art journal, and I wanted to have some impressions of the journey. Some things are just abstract, like this and like this, and of course I will show you the whole book at the end of this video. I'm very proud of it. This year we are going to travel again, and we're almost ready for it. Our goal is Scandinavia, so it will be a complete other experience. Last year we went to France and it was very hot weather, so now we are prepared to get a little more into the cold. So I'm looking forward to that. And I had so much fun creating this art journal, and you maybe know that I'm really hooked on art journaling. I really love it. So I decided to create a course about art journaling, and we are going to launch it before we leave. It's called An Introduction to Art Journaling, and what the plan is that we're going to make more classes, create more classes when we are on the road. So I will share you a couple of ideas. I will share you my process in each lesson. And in this introduction course about art journaling, I'm going to tell you what art journaling is, how I started art journaling, what you need, of course, to work in your book. I will share with you how you can set up goals and maybe help you to think about a theme for your art journal. And of course, I show you a part of the process of my first page of a new art journal, because it's going to be a new journey and I have a new book dedicated for that, to that. So I hope you're joining me, and I hope to see you in my school. Or, well, if you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe. Then you know more about my art process. We have another YouTube channel which is called Brave Art Journey, and on this channel we share with you all our experiences of traveling, and you see bits of Anthony's art, photography, and bits of my art, but it's mainly focused on the journey. You can find the link in the description below. So I hope you'll be joining us. And now I'm going to share with you my art journal from last year. So that's us and our Heimer, and here we've been to a butterfly garden, and I really wanted to add a butterfly, and I repeated the pattern. And some pages needed a little more time, and I worked on them along the way, and well, some of them I finished when I was at home. I used a lot of paper, fabrics sometimes, pattern paper. This was an old portrait of an old magazine. And oh, forgot on something. And sometimes I add some text, like here. This was what the words that I heard when we visited the Dolma in Belgium. And this is the lake at Monthermé France. We just arrived in France, and this was a place where we already stayed for a couple of times, 10 years ago and I believe 6 years ago. So it was actually the third time that we've been there. And also I wrote down some words that I wrote in my diary. I copied them in my art journal. And I had really fun with sewing these threads. I was sewing some clothes that were broken, so I picked it up and I really loved it. And here again. And I also used old fabrics. And this was falling on the table, so I decided to draw it, and I also pasted it in my book. You see, I use a lot of elements out of nature, like grass, like leaves. This was really an amazing experience. We visited the farm of Benjamin and Cecile. They had a goat farm, and Cecile asked me to paint the toilet doors with her. They had an outdoor toilet, and well, I had to do some goat studies first. So, but she really helped me, and she showed me her favorite goat, and I made some sketches, and she really said like, oh, this needs to be longer, the eyes need to be further away from another. So it was really great because she was looking at the goats each day and she knows them best, and I had no experience with drawing goats at all. It was a very funny experience as well because the goats were eating my sketches, and we were laughing all the time, and it was wonderful weather. We also have a YouTube video about that, so you could watch that, painting the outdoor toilets with Cecile, I think it's called, and it was really a great experience. So, and we were singing all the time. We adjusted some songs like "I Feel Goat," and we had lots of fun. It was an amazing time. The patterns that you see here, they are copied or kind of copied from the floor of my aunt and uncle's home, Tinus and Mika. These are the hens and a cock. We visited that after we went to Cecile. This was actually their toilet wall, so that was a great 70s wallpaper thing. And I started with this, at the start of our journey, and these are all the cats that we met on the way. This is a little landscape thing, and also I added some diary texts again and some patterns and things out of nature that I collected. And this is a collection of all things that we had, from sacks of bread, a butterfly. This was handmade paper from the mill of Richard de Bas. There's also a video about that on our Brave Art Journey channel, so you can watch that. Next to the mill was a wonderful garden with flowers that they used for the paper here, like cornflowers, like small flowers that they used. There were also beautiful plants in the garden, like this one, and the building, there was a kind of pagoda-like building, Japanese, Chinese thing. So I thought it would be nice to have a little flag from a little Tibetan flag into this one. Then we moved on, and here I used our tablecloth. And some hortensias. This is sketched. This is pasted, glued. And sometimes I'm drawing whilst on the road. So this is a landscape that I made with soft pastels when we were driving. And here we came at our friend's home, Lagan, and we stayed there for a month. And I really worked a lot there. Every day we ate courgette, because they had a little garden and they had an awful lot of courgettes, and we were really like, okay, do we have to eat courgette again? Do you know another recipe? But I thought it would be wonderful to draw them or just paint them. Sometimes I love to make color swatches, especially when I use new colors. And here I have some flowers. I plucked some flowers. They're colored, so they were like the colors here, but they are already changed color. They faded a bit. And now there's a lot of abstract things coming up after this page. But these were our visitors. They came as wildcats. Their mother was still alive, but she stayed at a distance. And these three came, and every day they came closer and closer. And well, we domesticized them a bit, and finally they came sitting on our lap and came, well, towards us and ate from our hands. It was a great experience. So now the abstract pages are starting a bit. Oh, there's one piece that I still need to glue. This is the bench that Annemarie got from her father, and with a nice French windowsill. I wanted to paint that. And now the abstract pages are coming. And I had lots of time. It was very warm, but I found myself a place in the shadow underneath the trees, and I really came up with a lot of nice pages with stamping leaves, using patterns, doing all kind of things again, fabrics and sewing again, and patterns, tiny landscape-like things. Here we were on the road, and I wrote a little song about everything is for free, all the good things in life are for free, something like that. And these were figs that we found in a tree. Well, it was nobody's land, so we decided to eat them. These are also trees on the property of Lagaan. And I think we moved on here. I exactly know the place where I painted this. And there's also a video about that. It's a video in which I show you all the materials that I took on the road. So this was also a very nice experience, because one day there were some children visiting Lagaan, and they had, one was 6 years old, one 4 years old, and the 6-year-old decided that she wanted to add a little thing to my book, and those were the little, well, I think they're wild carrots. It's really nice, and she pasted them in my book. And we decided to make a book for them too, and we added these flowers in their books as well. So they are maybe the youngest people on earth starting an art journal. Again, fabrics and text. Sometimes I like it to have a particular text in it, but I don't want to overlap all my previous things, so I just do it this way, that you can open and close it. Again, butterflies. This was a very special leaf, and I sometimes use, well, things I sketched on sacks, or mostly I have paper in my bag, and it folds and it crinkles, but I don't mind. I really loved using those pieces, damaged pieces of paper with sketches on it. And the leaf continues at this page, and here's a real leaf like that, the smaller one. In the next pages, I had a theme of shutters. In Dutch, there's a word ontluikend, which means something like blooming or opening. And there's the word luik in it, and luik means shutter. So it's a little word joke, which I can't translate into English. So, but that's a word joke. I often do that. Sometimes I do that in English too, but well, I'm Dutch, so my word jokes are mostly in Dutch. Sometimes not even funny, but in this case, I love to make the windows, and here there are shutters again, which you can open. Now I already spoiled, but here's the landscape that you see through the window. And these are small shutters which you can close, but it's not really working. It's working. And these ones are also, well, able to open. So this was really a nice project. Here we visited a ranch, and it was a beautiful place. It was, well, the wind was blowing, it was cold at night, so it was one of the first nights that we stayed in our RV. This was an amazing place. There were 2 mills on top of a hill, and there was a vineyard, and we were visiting the vineyard. In the mills, there lived a Dutch guy, and we visited him. And he was very kind. It was very warm, so we walked upon the hill and we saw him, and he was just in shorts, and they were playing a game. He was with a friend, but we had a nice conversation, and afterwards we had a lovely glass of wine. So it was a really nice experience. Sometimes I put baking paper between my pages, and that's I'm doing this because the pages sometimes cling together and then I miss pieces. This one I need to retouch a couple of times because the paint from this page, for example, went to this page and there were all white spots on the page, so it was not really nice. Also the case with this one. So this was also a very lovely place with a nice cat who came to us at night and stayed on our lap, and it was an amazing thing. Just landscapes. And sometimes I use pieces of old clothes. This is from my hat that got broken, so I try to keep something from the things that I throw away. Landscapes in new colors. Some more landscapes. Here we already were in Brittany, and we visited the megaliths in Karnak, and they were all behind a fence, and I wrote a little poem about that putting a judgment can be also a fence and can hold you back from enjoying life. So this was an apple yard, and it was also a lovely place, and I collected these from apples that we bought in the supermarket. These apples in the trees there were for cider, to make some cider. So they, well, I don't know if they really were good apples, but I really had a nice time with stamping and stenciling the apples. It was really a nice thing. And this was in Normandy, where we ate coq au vin. It was, well, I think it was the best thing we have eaten during this trip. So, and there was another funny thing, because when we went through Brittany, I think it was only Brittany, we saw in the rocks mosaics from eyes. They were made out of stones, and we met a French couple, and they told us there's a guide, a book which you can buy, and there were around 100 of these mosaics throughout Brittany. And maybe it's a challenge for us one day that we go to visit them all. Not in one day, of course, but here's another one. And well, I really love those. We see just 2 of those. And there's also some text. I think this is the index, the content of the book, so it needs to be on the last page. Sometimes I just put things in my book, and to prevent, I won't get rid of them, so I keep them so that they, well, are still in the book. Another handy thing you can do is put an envelope at the last page and then put all those things in, but for this one I had no space for that anymore. This is another Normandy landscape, and these were all my favorite clothes that I wore on the trip. I hadn't space for all of them, but these are my very favorites. And the last page, of course, a sunflower. We have seen some sunflower fields at the start of our journey, but because it was very dry, we finally saw no sunflowers anymore because they were all dead. The last thing that I want to show is my cover of the book, because it happens to me that this part of the book gets broken. So I need to repair it, restore it, and this is the design of my my cover. And you see, I added some things that I already used in the book, or I made them again. Like this one I made again. And well, this was it.